Probably Tom Cruise's last adventure as playing Ethan Hunt has nostalgia, a new global threat, thankfully, surprisingly a lot of humor, strong character development, a nice setup for the second part, and one oh no moment as well. So we'll start this review with a bit of non-spoiler talk where I will just share my thoughts on the movie without spoiling anything for you, and then we will head on to the spoiler section. So as we all expected, this might be the last adventure of Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, and the fact that this adventure is also split into two halves, that means two movies, this movie will end in a cliffhanger or it will end with a massive showdown at the end, only to find out that this all thing was worthless. Well, I won't tell you exactly where this movie ends, but I will definitely tell you that this movie is a very slow paced one, but in a very good way. Now, all the Mission Impossible movies are very fast, snappy. There are a very few heart to heart and very slow paced conversations, but this one takes its time. This movie definitely takes its time. It spends a good enough time on building up a scene, on building up a character. Now, there are a lot of one to one long and slow conversations as well, where you really feel the weight of the words that are being spoken. Now, even though it is almost a 3 hour long movie, I mean its runtime is 2 hours 45 minutes, in fact making this the longest movie of this franchise, it still doesn't feel that long. Now, if you get a good grip onto this long and slow conversations that I talked about earlier, you won't feel the longness of the movie. Now, that's where good acting performances comes into play. Now, this movie is not packed with a lot of action scenes that we expect from a Mission Impossible movie. Less quantity, but definitely high quality content. Now, Hayley Atwell, oh boy, she did a fantastic job. You Marvel fans might be knowing her by Peggy Carter, Captain America's love interest, obviously. She did a fantastic job. Her acting was quite authentic, genuine, and she looked very good working alongside Ethan Hunt and Tom Cruise. All in all, she was a great addition to the story. And surprisingly enough, her character was the one with whom we spent a lot of time in the movie. But she had a very good story along the movie as well. She had a great character development. Okay, I'll elaborate this in the spoiler section. Now, the main villain of the movie, Gabriel, well, I did not feel that much threatened by him. I mean, his screen presence was also not very strong and not very threatening. But all in all, he did a decent enough job. Now, this movie was surprisingly very funny. I mean, genuinely, it had a lot of humor. It had a lot of callbacks as well, as we would expect and we would want as well. But yeah, all in all, it was a very funny and very humorous movie. Now, even if you haven't seen any of the previous all Mission Impossible movies, you can still really watch this movie. Though you won't get a lot of jokes, you won't get a lot of callbacks, but at the end, you will be fine with the movie. Now let's head into the spoiler section of the movie, so tread carefully after this. Now I really love the concept of AI that was the villain in this movie, and not the nuclear weapon or the syndicate or any other biological weapon that we get in the same old Mission Impossible movies. The stakes in this movie were actually very high. The mere truth was the weapon and I loved it. And to my surprise, actually this movie was probably written in 2018 or 2019 because at the start of 2020, before the pandemic, they in fact started to shoot the movie, but they couldn't because of the pandemic obviously. But the fact that this movie was written in 2018 or 2019 and still they used AI as the main villain or the main thing that will destroy humanity was very staggering to imagine. And I also loved how they had to go all the way back to use analog and to use outdated technologies and satellites and outdated satellites to keep going. Because of the ever evolving technology, it seemed like the IMF was invincible. And I also pretty much liked how they only teased Gabriel and Ethan Hunt's past but not fully expose it. Now, in their first meeting, when Ethan Hunt says, "You should have killed me when you had the chance," man, that reminded me of how Solomon Lane said the same dialogue to Ethan Hunt. But anyway, moving on. Elsa's death. Elsa's death was very surprising to me. In fact, I was looking forward to see Ilsa work with Ethan and IMF for the first time officially and go down to the wire of the fight. But sadly, it won't happen. Now, coming to the highly marketed stunt of the movie, the motorbike and the parachute sequence. Well, nobody cared about it in the theaters. I mean, literally no one gave a shit about it. I really felt like screaming and telling everyone that, look, he trained for a year for that jump, so you better clap at least. Or just stop the movie, watch the behind the scene video of the stunt, and then watch the stunt. I mean, literally no one cared about the video, it just came and just went by. That's it. And that made me sad. Now the last question. Now this could be my fault because when you're watching a thriller movie, you don't actually grasp all the things that you see on the first viewing of the movie. So I felt that I missed this conversation, but correct me if I'm wrong. When Gabriel at the end killed the director of the national security, the director was the only person who knew the location of the submarine, but yet Gabriel killed him. And just tell me in the comments that did the director told Gabriel the exact location of the submarine because he just killed him. I mean, I don't recall the director telling Gabriel the location, but as I said, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And with that said, we will conclude the review of the movie. Now please correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, and also while you are at it, share your thoughts about the video and obviously about the movie as well. So thank you so much for watching.